Show you today a little bit about how to make a Jamboard or use a Jamboard if one is assigned to you. So first of all, let's just pretend that you're in a screen in Chrome. It would be on your Chromebook. You go into the place where you're going to type where you want to go. You would just type jamboard.google.com, and it already auto-populated for me because I've been there before. So that's going to open up a Jamboard page for you. So this is within the G Suite or Google Suite of apps. These are two jams that were shared with me, but actually when you make one, it'll save in your drive as well. So I'm going to make a new one. And by the way, you can either view these, have grid view, list view. You can get links to them. You can sort by naming, last opening, title, stuff like that. And you can look for ones owned by you, owned by anyone, so forth. So I'm going to make one for you, basically because I'm going to ask you to make a graph by hand, and you can do that on a Jamboard. First thing is to notice it's an untitled jam. So I can go up here and I can title it, and I'll say sample graph, and my last name, Forrest. Okay. You can make the background one of several different choices. You could have dots, lines, graph that way, graph that's grayed in the background, color blue, color black, and then obviously just a white color as well. So I'm going to make one with a graph pattern like that in the background. So one of the things you could do is type, or pardon me, you could use a pen, just a squiggle. So you could do something like that. If you click on this, you can see that there's a few different colors and there's different thicknesses of pen. So we've got pen, marker, highlighter, and brush. So if we get a highlighter, it's a little bit lighter in color. So if I had something like this, highlight like that. If I had a brush, ooh, that's interesting. It's a little lighter still. Marker is a little fatter, but it's darker than, say, it's a little fatter than a pen. Yeah, those don't look too much different. So now let's say you want to erase that because that does not look good. So you could erase over here and erase what things you don't want in terms of shapes. That is a little bit annoying for me to try to do that, but that's okay. If you want to select something, that's not for these drawing things, so we'll come back to that. If you want to make a sticky note, you can choose the color background of your sticky note, or if you want a sticky note basically that's white with no color background, you can do that. So I might say, this is a sample sticky note. Save. And that goes up there, and I can get rid of that, and I can move this to different places. I could also make this a little bit different size by dragging it, but it's going to stay a square shape. If I want to rotate it, I could do that, which is kind of fun. If you push shift when you rotate, it'll lock and do an angle. So push shift on your keyboard. Okay. If I want to do something that's add an image, okay, I'm going to do search files from my device. I think I've got a fantastic image here. That looks great. That's when I got a haircut this summer. And again, you can move that around. You could place that sideways. You could also lock it if you push shift to lock at one of 8 angles at 45 degrees from each axis or along each axis. So let's pretend that I'm looking at this upside down. Okay. You could make a geometric, you can make a circle as a shape. You could make different shapes, diamonds. Again, those can be stretched out or not. You can have arrows. It can be fat or skinny arrows. Obviously, you can rotate those as well. Now let's say you want to do something like this and point that out, that word, but let's say you don't want this arrow on top. You want the sticky note on top. So you could either, if you click on these three dots, you could delete it, you could duplicate it, you could send it backward or all the way to the back. So let's say if I want to send that to the back, that means it's going to be behind any of these other things that I put down. If you just send it backward, it'll move back one level, kind of like in most Word documents. You can have a text box. So, hey, this is a sample text box. And you can make that different shapes. Something like that. You can also make, if you go up here, you could have different sizes of text. So it could be giant, could be small. They don't give you, that's sample bell. They don't give you font options from what I can see. They do give you color options. So a few color options there. That'd be weird to have a white, oh, that's not the background. That's, click the text box again, and you get red text. You can have it aligned differently also, center, right, or left aligned. Okay, and then the other thing you can do, and this is really when you're presenting, and you could change the color here for how you want to do this. So let's say I want a blue laser. Oh, I thought it was, I could change the color of that, I thought. Oh. But basically what this does is it's kind of a temporary thing. So if I want to draw attention, hey, this is important, stays for a few seconds and then it goes away. You can have multiple pages on a jam. So let's say I want to make a new one, and let's say I want to do something like that. So if you're making a clear graph, what you may want to do is do something like this. So let's say back here I'm going to that, I'm going to have it be black. And let's say I want to make it be a line, so I'm going to make the axes of a graph. So that's okay. I'm going to start here, and it seems like I've got a weird shape, but I thought there was a way I could hold this there. If I hold the shift key down, it's going to make it go down straight. So if I click right on that, it'll make another line. So if I don't want that other line, I can click remove. I could remove that as well. Or you could use the eraser. If you want to go back to the previous page, if you want to remove one of these objects, pardon me, I'm going to go back here to this select arrow, and I click that, and then I push the delete key, it'll get rid of that entire object. Let's go back to this. So let's say I want to make a graph. So I'm going to go and select the pen again. I'm going to go up here. I'm going to hold down shift, and I'm going to go down. And again, if I wanted to make that thicker, I could make that, use the marker as opposed to the pen. So now I'm going to go here, and I'm going to make this axis. And I could now do some marks like there, and there, and there, and there. And I could put a title up here by using a text box. So I could say graph title. I might not want that in blue. Yeah, I might want that a little smaller. I can move that there. And I could put numbers down here. You could probably either do it as one big text box and space it out. So I could do like 0, 0, 2, 4, 6, or I could just type each number individually and do something like that. So that's how you can put numbers in. If I wanted to label an axis with something, I do another text box. So I click on this and I might say number of caterpillars. I have no idea why I thought about that. So now if I want to make this along this vertical, if I want to make it on this axis down here, I could label it down here. I would want to put numbers and dashes and things on this axis, but I could also rotate it around. So if you notice, that's how I can do that. And then if you want to plot points, in here what you could do is you could do circle. So you could plot a point like, say, right there. Well, that's too big. You know, I wouldn't do that, so I'm going to delete that. I'm going to go here to marker, and then what I would do is I do something like this. So that's my point. I put a point right there. If I had another point right there, do that. Another point right there, I do that. So squiggle around a little bit with a marker. So that's pretty good. And then if you wanted to draw, like, say, a line of best fit, what you could do is you could still have it on. I could move it to pen. I could put my dot starting in one place, and then I could hold shift and it'll go in a straight line. If you hold shift when you're moving around, you notice that the line moves around. So I could have something like that. So that's how I'd make a graph by hand on a Jamboard. If you don't want to make a graph by hand on a Jamboard, and you are in the hybrid model, you'll definitely have a composition book you can use. It's got quadrile paper like this. And if you're a VLA student, I think I'm going to be able to get you one of those as well. I just don't know what time that's going to be able to happen. So, oh, one other thing. If I wanted to share this, so let's say you're making one, let's say you're working with a partner on a lab and you want to have one person make the graph and share it, you could either share it with them this way, where you type the person's email in, or you could go down here, you could say, hey, I want to change it so that anyone, oops, first of all, I want to copy the link. I want to change it so anyone with a link can have it. I mean, it really should be anyone within the district, but we could do that. So I'm going to copy that link and I'm going to click done. So now if I give you an assignment, let's say I want to create, and I say graphing assignment. And make a graph on the Jamboard. I can add a link. So I'm going to paste the link I had earlier. And the nice thing is I could either make it where you could view if I wanted you to see a sample graph, or if I want you to make a graph, then I would make a copy of that for each student. So then you would have that and you could turn it in. So that's what I'll probably do for the first one, is I'll make a Jamboard just with a graphing background. But hopefully this is something you get comfortable doing. There's a lot of neat things we can do with this. So if I have one that we share with the entire group or cohort, you could each add things on a different page of the Jam, which would make a nice group presentation. So that's how to make and share a Jamboard.